Magandang araw! Sama-sama tayong matuto sa Teacher Sal Learning Resource Channel.
Revised K-12 Curriculum Science 5 Quarter 2 Week 3. Our topic is all about male and female reproductive system. For the short review, let's have human life cycle. Let's recall the stages of life. Every person goes through a life cycle. It begins when we are just a fetus inside our mother's womb. Where does the human life cycle start? It starts with the fetus or embryo. Stages overview. The main stages of the human life cycle are fetus in the womb, baby or infant, childhood, adolescent or teenager, adulthood, and old person or elderly. Fetus in the womb. The very beginning of life inside the mother's womb. The baby is still developing organs, bones, and body systems. Baby or infant, a newborn to 1 year old, needs care, feeding, and protection, starts to cry, crawl, and smile. Childhood, from ages 2 to 12. Children grow quickly. Learn to talk, play, read, and write. Adolescence or teenager. From about 13 to 19 years old. Puberty changes the body. Teens become more independent and form their identity. Old person or elderly. Elders are wise and experienced. Their bodies weaken, but they guide the younger generations. Sequencing challenge. Arrange these stages correctly. Childhood, old person, fetus in the womb, adolescent or teenager, baby or infant, and adulthood. Here is the correct sequence. Fetus in the womb, baby or infant, childhood, adolescent or teenager, adulthood, and old person or elderly. Why do you think it's important to know the human life cycle? Because it helps us understand how people grow, change, and need care at different times in life. Let's talk about the human reproductive system, understanding how life begins. Our lesson purpose is to deepen understanding of male and female reproductive systems. Learn anatomy and functions of major organs, the ovary, vagina, uterus, prostate, penis, and testes. Understand how reproduction contributes to the human life cycle. Can anyone describe what an embryo is? An embryo is a tiny developing human inside the mother's womb during the earliest stage of life. How do you think an embryo is formed in the human body? An embryo is formed when the male cell, the sperm, joins with the female cell, the egg. At what stage of the life cycle does the embryo appear? At the very beginning, after fertilization, and before becoming a fetus. How does an embryo form inside the mother's body? The embryo grows in the uterus, where it is kept safe and nourished. Why do you think both a male and a female are needed to create an embryo? Because the male provides the sperm cell and the female provides the egg cell, and both are needed to start new life. Can you name any parts of the female and male bodies important for creating life? For male, testes, penis, and prostate. For female, ovary, uterus, and vagina. How do you think the baby grows from one embryo to being born? What parts of the mother's body help the baby grow? The baby grows inside the uterus, protected and fed through the placenta. What does the word reproduction mean to you? Reproduction means creating new life. Why is reproduction an essential part of the life cycle? Because it ensures life continues from one generation to the next. How do you think the male and female bodies contribute to reproduction? The male body produces sperm cells, and the female body produces egg cells, and provides a place for the baby to grow. All of these answers lead us to our main lesson, the human reproductive system. Classifying vocabulary, related versus unrelated terms. Let's play Classify the Terms. Read each word card carefully. Decide if the word is about the reproductive system or not. Place it in the column. Check for related to reproductive system and X for unrelated terms. Here is the sorting chart. In the first column, related to reproductive system, and in the second column, the unrelated terms. Here are the words: reproductive system, reproduction, fertilization, circulatory, apple, earth, male reproductive system, prostate, testis, penis, kidney, liver, female reproductive system, ovary, uterus, vagina, ears, and lungs. Here are the expected answers. For related to reproductive system, we have reproductive system, reproduction, fertilization, male reproductive system, prostate, testis, female reproductive system, and ovary, uterus, and vagina. For unrelated terms, we have circulatory, apple, earth, kidney, liver, ears, and lungs. Human reproductive system, key terms and meanings. Today, we'll learn about important parts and processes of the reproductive system. Reproductive system, the group of body parts that work together for the purpose of reproduction. What is the reproductive system? It is the group of body parts that work together to make new life. Reproduction. It is a process by which organisms replicate themselves. What is reproduction? It is the process of making more of the same kind of living thing. Fertilization, the union of a sperm and egg cell to form an embryo. What is fertilization? It is when a sperm and egg join together to start a new life. Female reproductive system includes ovaries, womb, uterus, and vagina. What are the main female reproductive parts? These are ovary, uterus, and vagina. Ovary, a female organ where egg cells are produced. What does the ovary do? It makes egg cell. Uterus, hollow, pear-shaped organ where a fetus develops, also called womb. What happens inside the uterus? It is where a baby grows before birth. Vagina, a canal in females that receives sperm and is part of the birth canal. What is vagina? It is the passage that connects the outside to the uterus. For male reproductive system, includes prostate, penis, and testes. What are the main male reproductive parts? These are prostate, penis, and testes. Penis, an external male reproductive organ. It has a tube called the urethra, which carries semen and urine outside the body. What is penis? It is the male organ outside the body that lets out urine and semen. Prostate, a gland in the male reproductive system. What does the prostate do? It makes fluid that carries sperm. Testis or testicle, one of two egg-shaped glands inside the scrotum that produce sperm and male hormones. What do the testes do? They make sperm and male hormones. Subtopic 1, Human Reproductive System. Today, we will talk about the special parts of our bodies that help create life. These parts are like puzzle pieces that fit together. Can anyone guess what they might be? Sorting word cards. In groups, take turns picking a word card. Decide if it belongs to the male or female reproductive system or not. Place it in the correct box. For the word bank, we have circulatory, fertilization, reproduction, penis, testis, prostate, vagina, uterus, and ovary. In the first column, we have the box 1, the male reproductive system. In the second column, box 2, female reproductive system. And in the third column, not part of either box. Here are the correct answers. For the box 1, penis, testis, and prostate. For box 2, vagina, uterus, and ovary. And for the third column, not part of either box, we have circulatory, fertilization, and reproduction. Label the reproductive system parts. Look at the outline of the male and female reproductive organ. Then write the correct labels on the blank spaces shown by the arrows. Label the male reproductive system parts. For number 1, we have the prostate, 2, the penis, and 3, the testes. Next, label the female reproductive system parts. Here are the expected answers. Number 1, uterus, 2, ovary, and the third one is vagina. Reproductive system. Humans need both male and female systems for reproduction. Each has special organs with unique roles. Why do we need both systems? Male produces sperm. Female produces egg and supports pregnancy. Male reproductive organs. Testes produce sperm and testosterone. Penis passes semen out of the body. Prostate gland produces prostatic fluid, aids in ejaculation. Female reproductive organs. Ovaries produce eggs and hormones. Vagina connects uterus to outside birth canal. Uterus. Baby develops here after fertilization. Here is the comparative table. Male versus female reproductive organs. Why do you think certain organs have similar functions across male and female reproductive systems? Certain organs have similar functions because both systems share the same goal of reproduction. Testes and ovaries both produce reproductive cells, sperm and eggs. How do the differences in organs and functions reflect the biological roles of each gender in reproduction? The differences highlight the unique roles of males and females in reproduction. Males produce and deliver sperm, which are many and mobile, designed to reach and fertilize the egg. Females produce eggs, fewer but larger and nutrient-rich, and provide a safe environment for fertilization, embryo development, and childbirth. For subtopic 2, reproduction in human. Reproduction in humans. How does human life begin? Human life begins when the father's sperm joins with the mother's egg. A tiny baby starts to grow inside the mother's womb until it is ready to be born. Today, we will learn about how life begins inside a mother's womb. What happens when the sperm meets the egg? When the sperm meets the egg, fertilization happens. This is the start of a baby growing inside the mother's womb. From conception to birth. Look closely at the images. What changes do you see as the months go by? As the months go by, the mother's tummy gets bigger because the baby inside is growing. What do you notice about the size of the tummy from the first to the last picture? The tummy gets bigger and bigger. How much does the tummy grow each time? It grows a little more every month. What do you think the baby is doing as the tummy grows? The baby is growing inside. Why is it important to see how the tummy changes? Because it shows that the baby is developing. When the tummy is at its biggest, what can you guess about the baby inside? The baby is ready to be born. Let's read Fatima's journey to meeting Zainab. Once upon a time, inside a quiet and warm place called the womb, there was a tiny fertilized egg, no bigger than a dot. This dot was the beginning of a little girl named Fatima. Fatima was very special because she was about to start an incredible journey of growth. In the great river of life, unlike the fish who lay their eggs in the water, humans like Fatima grow inside their mothers, safe and sound. Fatima, who was just a fertilized egg, found the perfect spot in her mother's womb, a soft and nourishing place called the uterus. Within just 3 weeks, Fatima was no longer just a dot. She became what we call an embryo. It was the very first stage of becoming a person. She was tiny and hardly looked like a baby at all, but all the magic had already started. As days turned into weeks, something amazing happened. 8 weeks after she started her journey, Fatima had transformed. She wasn't just an embryo anymore. She became a fetus. Now, she had the tiny beginnings of arms and legs, and she was beginning to look more like a little human, a tiny version of you and me. Fatima grew and grew, and after about 24 weeks, she started to move. Her muscles and bones were getting stronger every day. If you could have seen her, you would have said she was practicing to run and hug. Then, at around 36 weeks, Fatima was almost ready to meet the world. Her hair was curly and soft, and her tiny fingernails were just like tiny seashells. She was preparing for her grand entrance. Finally, after about 37 to 40 weeks of waiting, it was time. Fatima had become Zainab, a beautiful newborn baby with bright eyes, ready for her first breath of air. With a little help, she left the cozy womb and was cradled in the loving arms of her mother. Nearby, her big brother, Yusin, looked on with wide, excited eyes. He had a new sister, and he couldn't wait to teach her about the world. And so, Fatima's journey, which started with just a little dot, had brought a new life into the world, and her family named her Zainab. They all lived happily, learning and growing together each day. Thinking about Fatima's story, what are some big changes or important moments you remember about how Zainab grew before she was born? Zainab started very tiny, like a dot, and slowly grew bigger inside her mom. Her mother's belly grew month by month as Zainab got stronger. Zainab's heartbeat and movements were big moments. Which part of Zainab's growing up inside her mom did you find really interesting or cool? Tell us why. I found it cool when she started kicking inside the womb because it shows she was alive and active. It was interesting that she grew from something so small into a full baby. Imagine if you were Zainab, cozy and snug in the womb, what do you think it would feel like? It would feel warm, safe, and comfortable. I might feel sleepy and relaxed, like being wrapped in a blanket. Match me. Read the names of the organs and their functions. Draw a line to match the organ with the correct function. For column 1, testes, penis, prostate gland, ovaries, vagina, and uterus. For column 2, produce sperm and testosterone. Passes semen out of the body. Produces prostatic fluid, aids in ejaculation. Produce eggs and hormones, estrogen, progesterone. Connects uterus to the outside, birth canal. Site of fertilization, supports embryo development. Here are the correct answers. For your formative assessment, multiple choice questions, human life cycle. Which of the following stages is the correct sequence of the human life cycle? A. Infant, adolescent, adult, elderly. B. Adolescent to infant to adult to elderly. C. Adult to infant to adolescent to elderly. D. Elderly to adolescent to infant to adult. You're right. The correct answer is letter A. From infant to adolescent to adult to elderly. At what stage of the human life cycle does puberty typically occur? A. Infant. B. Child. C. Adolescent. D. Adult. You're right. The correct answer is C. Adolescent. Fill in the blank. Reproductive organs and functions. The blank are the male reproductive organs that produce sperm and testosterone. You're right. The correct answer is testes. The blank is the female reproductive organ where a fertilized egg implants and grows into a fetus. Very good. The correct answer is uterus. Blank is the process by which a sperm cell and an egg cell combine to form a new life. You're right. The correct answer is fertilization. True or false? Human reproduction facts. The female reproductive system includes the prostate. You're right. It is false. Number 7. Human life begins as a single cell formed from the union of two gametes. It is true.